I told you who we have on the call. Nothing has changed, and I'll turn it over to you for your first item of the agenda for the October 20th meeting tonight, and that is 106 Millville Street. Andy?
Thank you, Missy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. To start, as we all aware, the kitchen and alleged slaughterhouse, which we did not find any signs of that when we were up there the initial day looking around. We did not find anything, telltale signs of a slaughterhouse at all. There was some dead birds in the pasture. To my knowledge, the place has been closed, and I don't know if it's 100% all animals are gone. I do know that Dana had a concern this past week that there was a livestock trailer seen there backed up to one of the barns, and it's unknown at this time were they unloading or loading animals. Ernie, could you or your client respond to that, please?
Absolutely. I see someone's recording. I just want to see who's recording this.
That is me, Ernie. So for the minutes and stuff, it can be posted on the town's website.
I don't have any problem with anyone recording. I just wanted to know who was recording. So the individual that was renting the property was the one that had that kitchen or restaurant or whatever you want to call it, and was the one accused of having the slaughterhouse, and was in fact the one that had all the animals. I served him with the eviction a little over 2 weeks ago. He has since turned the keys into the owner, and as far as we're concerned, he's gone. The owner who's sitting here with me tonight did not know about any of that stuff, and that we addressed that as soon as we learned about it from the town, as far as what was going on there. And as I can say, as of right now, there are no animals there. All of the animals have been removed, and were removed, I think, quite some time ago.
I don't know.
Okay.
Nothing there now.
Yeah, more than a week ago, we think they were all removed, right?
Okay, that's probably around the time that the livestock trailer was seen there, and it was unclear whether they were loading or unloading. So it's really quite sad that it's the state of affairs. There were some beautiful animals there, and they were neglected. It's really
very
sad. There was 9 people documented at the town hall registered so that the children could go to Mendon schools. Has the house or the apartment, and that's another issue that we have as the Board of Health. A few years ago, when the property was being sold to Mr. Netto, we addressed an issue where that's supposed to be a 2-bedroom apartment, and that's all that the septic system will support and sustain. And there was 9 registered people, but the day that we went there with all the officers and everybody, there was at least 15 people looking through the door in that room. Is you say that he's gone? Is everyone gone from there? Because what else we did find was upstairs in the loft of the barn, Danielle, our health inspector, and I, and some of the officers were looking around upstairs, and we found at least 2 rooms with mattresses and pillows and blankets and lamps. They were definitely staying in the barn, and that was a housing concern for us. And I just was wondering, have you walked the property, the buildings? Do you know for sure that everybody has vacated?
Everybody is gone. We were not aware that those people were there. And in fact, this individual pulled the wool over our eyes as well. He owes a great deal of money in rent that he did not pay. Yes, there is no one living in the on the property now at all, and we have walked all through that property.
Okay, excellent.
And we welcome the Board of Health if you want to walk through.
Well, I thank you for that. We take your word at it. So thank you for all of that. Now, the next issue that the neighbors on Lovell Street have concerns about is, could you please address what is the construction project. What is happening? What's that all about? What are you trying to do?
Sure. So, and I'll probably have the contractor hop in here, but as I understand it right now, they're expanding the area where basically parking, the more usable area with fill. And they realized that at some point we have contacted Shea Engineering to do some structural analysis work on the property at some point, and to deal with to make sure that's stable and that there's a barrier up the top so no one will go off. And we learned about a broken pipe down in that ditch area that has been fixed. And Mr. Fisk, obviously, you have a great deal of expertise in this, so you can ask him the questions, but he does want to get in there and finish putting gravel in because he's worried about any future rain that comes. I see somebody's got a hand up. Kathleen and Mark.
Yes, as to my knowledge, that pipe has not been fixed. The culvert goes from the retention pond that's in my property through their property and into the little pond, because all of that property was once the same property. And the ditch that was dug, the culvert has not been replaced.
Excuse me. Okay, that has been replaced. I have pictures of it that I'll be happy to share with you all through the process. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't still a problem there, because I think we've got two pipes. I think there's a pipe. He's showing me pictures right now. Actually, you know what? I could here. Let me put my video on for those that have that are logged on. You can see. Oh, I hope you can see that. Actually, let me see where it goes. You can see that he is replacing the pipes. I know this is not the best way to see it. We'll be happy to give you copies, but he is replacing that pipe. But we think there's another pipe coming from your pond that either connects with this one or goes next to it. And Mr. Alves, you want to explain to them what your understanding is? Because there seems to be a little bit of a riddle. And I also see Mr. Urich has a hand up as well.
So yeah, there's another pipe. There is a drain from the pond up on the hill, and I have not seen that pipe. So the only pipe I fix is that one. I have the pictures. And again, if there is a broken pipe, we don't want to excavate anything and make it worse right now, and before we fix it. But yeah, if something broken over there, we'll fix it.
But someone's got to show us where it is.
Okay, let me interrupt for 1 minute, please.
Sure.
We're talking about two different pipes, two different ponds. Just to clarify for all of us who are not 100% aware of the location of the property, the pipe that was fixed when it got broke, is that on the property of 106 Millville Road, or is that on the neighbor's property?
No, that's on 106 Millville Road. That trench there was dug out because it was a broken pipe. He has fixed that, replaced it, and
okay.
But we believe we agree with Kathleen and Mark. We think there has to be another pipe coming out of their retention pond up on their property, but we don't know. Andy, if you remember, this is something that Fred Kelly did probably, gosh, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. We just don't know where that pipe is. So we're looking for anyone that can help.
So this is Sylvain Cormier talking. I'm the person living. My wife is Dana Urich.
Okay.
If you want to, I'm here tomorrow and Friday. You can come and I'll show you exactly where the pipe starts and where it ends, so that it can be fixed properly.
Absolutely. Right.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, because I saw somebody working on a pipe earlier this week, I think, or late last week.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were fixing a black pipe, a black PVC pipe, kind of plastic pipe.
Correct.
Okay. We're doing it by hand.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. That's the one that we have fixed, but it sounds like you know where there's another one.
Mr. Urich, if I may, please.
Yeah, I'll chime in to assist. I think my husband's on mute.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
so
If you
that's
see that-
correct. There were, the pipe that's been fixed, to my understanding, is the pipe that's purely only on 106 Millville and has very little flow. The pipe, which is the connecting pipe from the retaining pond on 14 level through the back of 106 to then connect to the back of 16 level, which is my husband and my property, and through. That's the pipe that was broken. I have photos from that day because I did inform the gentleman who was doing the digging with an excavator. I informed him before he began to dig of what was there. And I also let him know when he damaged that culvert, which connects from Kathleen and Mark's property to ours, that was going to be a problem. And I have photos of the damaged section.
Dana, if I may,
so-
please, Dana, hold on, Ernie.
Yep.
Dana, is this second pipe, could you please tell us the location of the pipe, whose property it's on, just for clarification, please?
Certainly. The pipe connects between the retention pond at 14 level, and then it goes on to 106, and then it exits on to 16. I have a picture which I could share, might help from a diagram perspective. It's really a common interest. So as mentioned, probably the original owner put it in and it crosses, it spans all, but the damage was done on 106, but the impact is to all of us.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you. We haven't had a lot of rain in the past few days, but we did a week or two ago. Has there been backup into your yards as a result of this damage?
Oh yeah, there's a stream that flows all the time. There's heavy flow all the time. When it rains,
Okay.
it's really something, but there's constant flow every minute of every day. And that's
So
where the silt is. And
It needs
that's,
to be expedited and needs to get fixed ASAP.
Yeah, we agree.
AJ? Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Thank you. I believe the pipe that was damaged from my visit there, although I couldn't see the pipe, I believe I was told it was corrugated metal pipe that was damaged, if that helps. Back
Yep.
to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Yeah,
at least now go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to let Ernie know that I just forwarded him off an email with pictures that I believe Tom Fickner took on September 20th. It might help them find that other pipe that people are talking about. Thank you.
That, and Mr. Urick said he would be home tomorrow if you guys can go visit him.
yeah.
I'm home tomorrow and Friday, so if you need help, I'll just gladly go out there and point out where the beginning of the pipe is and where it ends.
Is it possible for you two to share contact information so that they can communicate with you and make sure that you're home at the time when they want to
Sure.
come over?
Yep.
If it's helpful to the committee, I could very briefly just share a diagram, which might help us to understand if that's acceptable.
Not all of us are in on computers, but you're welcome to do that.
We'd like to see it. We'd appreciate it.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm just sharing this so you can see. And so this is the retention pond here on Kathleen and Mark's property. And it connects through a corrugated metal culvert that was likely originally installed some time ago. And then this part here is our property on 16 level. And the piece that was dug up was dug here, and it's interrupted. And then you can see where I'm noting how wet everything is.
Yeah.
I think I have pictures of the digging event and the date, and also of the corrugated. You can see this is our property. This is what happened when it was dug up. That's the digger that did it. And then
When did that, that's not us. When was that done?
yes, this was done in July 2021, and this was the trenching that was done on the property. And as you can see, like I said, there's a lot of water flow. And
Oh, yeah, we don't
so,
disagree. We don't, my guy said that's not your machine.
No.
That's not his machine. He has no idea who did that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna guess it was the tenant.
I'm not certain about
Yeah,
that particular.
either
or
way,
the
we're gonna fix it.
specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have somewhere pictures of the corrugated damaged pipe, but I don't seem to have them in this set here.
Okay,
So
so,
the pipe right now is under the silt that has accumulated into that pond since then.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, so, because it was kind of a riddle. We were like, we didn't dig this up. But, so that must have been, I'm gonna guess that was the tenant or had somebody working it, because that was not you. That's not your machine. He doesn't even have a machine like that.
Correct.
So-
I met the gentleman. It was not Jader. It was a
Oh,
different
okay.
gentleman.
Okay,
Mhm.
good, okay, because, all right, so, what does your schedule look like tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have
Or
a meeting
Friday.
at 7, at noon time.
How does Friday look?
Friday I can be there at any time.
I think, I'm sorry, there's so many people talking here. I think somebody said tomorrow or Friday.
It was Mr. Yorick, yes.
Yes, I will
This
be
is-
available. I would be
Okay.
available either tomorrow or Friday.
Friday.
Friday, what time?
Anytime that works for him, I'll be there.
How about 9 a.m. Friday?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so Jader Alves will be there Friday at 9 a.m. And I might be there, but yeah, I'm not really sure what use a lawyer would be. But show him what it is, and they're going to address it immediately.
Andy,
You've now solved a bit of a riddle for us, because we had two issues. We didn't know about the pipe, and we kept hearing that someone dug it up and damaged it. And we're like, well, it wasn't us. But now we know it was someone before us.
Okay.
But
And
either
it's-
way, we own it.
Ernie, hold on, please. Go ahead, Missy.
I just want to let you know that Selectman Tinio is on also.
Yes, I sent him a text. He responded. Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you for joining us. We're having some good results. We have Attorney Horn, the property owner of 106 Millville Road, the contractor who's doing the work there, and the neighbors from 14 and 16 Lovell Street. And we seem to be making some progress to get this issue repaired. Thank you for joining us, Lonnie.
No problem. Yep, sorry I was late to the meeting.
That's fine. So Ernie, let me back up a little bit, please. If
Sure.
the contractor that's working there now for Mr. Nettle did not do the initial digging, why did this project start with the tenant? It seems like it was a joint venture, but somewhere along the line, it got handed off to this guy. What's going on with that? Because it was quite a ways underway, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
The fill process.
To answer that, because I don't. So that was before my involvement. So let me have Mr. Alves, Jader Alves, try to give you a little bit of his understanding.
Okay.
Okay.
So, John, when Nito found out that
This is Mr. Nito over there.
when he found out what was going on over there, he called me to come and, to the property and help fix the, whatever was, damaged there, because he was not aware of it. So it was all by the tenant. So that's how he called me, to help him out, fix and, all the damage over there.
Okay, because it was a substantial amount of fill, and it's all kinds of ledge and rock and debris. And at one point, there has been accusations of illicit material being buried there, such as trash bags, unknown what's in it. And one of the neighbors can attest to that. I'm only getting it secondhand. So if one of the, I don't know if it's Dana or Kathleen, somebody saw that, have pictures?
That was me, Kathleen. I do not have pictures, but I witnessed it myself. And the only thing I can attest to is that there were two contractor bags that were buried in the cliff of dirt. And one other thing I just want to clarify is that Earlier this week, Jader came over to my property. I spoke to him personally. He hopped the fence. I showed him exactly where the culvert started, and to Dana's pictures where it went through, and explained the whole thing, showed him exactly where it was dug up and broken. So he is aware of that, where it starts and where it goes through.
Yes,
And I was present as well.
That's broken.
Yeah, he's saying that, yes, you did, and he understands that. But he knows where it starts, he knows where it ends, but he doesn't know where it's broke.
So one other thing I do want to clarify is, does the owner of the property, are you saying that the owner of the property is unaware or was unaware of everything that was taking place on the property as far as the fill was concerned, as far as the ditch being dug? Now, this all started back in, I would say, I can't be certain, but I would say at least June.
Okay.
I know through July and August.
Sure. So what I said was he was unaware of the alleged slaughterhouse, and he was unaware of the alleged restaurant. He thought that his tenant was doing a farm. He thought it was going to be a petting zoo. So he was unaware of those allegations until we learned about it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Was he aware of the fill being deposited in the back?
He asked me to do. I say okay, but I didn't know how he's gonna do because
yeah. So he asked him if he could build a bigger parking area, and he said, yeah, sure. He didn't see a problem with it. But he wasn't aware of the digging of the ditch. He wasn't aware of the broken pipe, and that machine that you see in those pictures, we don't know whose that is. It's not my client's. It's not ours. So that must have been prior to Jader Alves getting involved.
Yes, but was that? But I understand that Jader was not involved. But was the owner aware of it?
He was aware that the dirt was being brought in to expand the parking area or the area for the farm, but I don't think he was aware of anything about the ditch down back or the broken pipe. Or were you aware of any of that stuff?
I signed the contract on April 15th, and after April 15th, he's the one, and then he started moving in. I don't know, maybe May. And he started figuring out. I don't know, maybe on the beginning of May or July. I don't know when.
Or June. So I'm not sure if you were able to hear him, Kathleen. So he signed the rental agreement on April 15th of this year, and the tenant moved in, you think, in May, and then at some point after that he started it. But I don't think my client came there or spent a lot of time there after that period of time.
Ernie?
Yes, sir.
Could you please fill us in where Mr. Neto lives? Right? Why? I know, but I'd like to hear from you why he's not there on a regular, frequent basis. It's distance.
Yeah. What town do you live in, sir?
Watertown, Mass.
He lives in Watertown, Mass. So he's not here. Now, of course, he's been here a lot more lately because when none of the rent was being paid, then he started to think that there was a problem. And then, of course, when we got notified by the Board of Health and the police that they had some issues there, I think that's when he became actively involved. But the gentleman lives in Watertown, Mass, just outside of Boston.
When you call me to take care of that too.
And what Mr. Alves is telling me is that when Mr. Netter got the call about the issues there, then Mr. Jade Alves was brought in to say, okay, go find out what's going on and try to straighten it out. Yeah. Because Mr. Alves does a lot of his other construction work in the state.
This is Kathleen again. One of my concerns is that the property, and this may not be appropriate for this discussion, but I need to put it out there that the property that Mr. Neto owns in Hopedale on South Main Street, the same thing is being done.
Yes, he's expanding that property, and that's been reviewed by the Milford Water Company, which has an easement there, and there are no issues there. But you are correct. He is expanding that with Phil to make a bigger parking area there to develop that piece of property. And I met personally with the supervisor from the Milford Water Company because they have a easement through the back where some of the septic lines run. And I had them come down and they walked the property to make sure there was no issues. There weren't. They began doing exactly what they said they were going to do, expanding the parking area. And then there was complaints made to the water department. Mr. Menini came back and inspected again, said, you're fine, there's no issues here.
And is Mr. Neto?
That would be sewer department.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Milford Sewer Department, not the water department.
Okay.
Sewer department.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Does Mr. Neto own 108 Millville Street? Because my concern is that if he's going to expand that property,
Yes.
that abuts my property, and I have great concerns for the same.
Yeah.
So, sorry, this is Lonnie. Can I jump in for a minute here?
Sure.
I understand everybody's concerns. Everything's been stopped. They're going to the conservation meeting tomorrow night. There's conservation issues over there. If there are any developmental issues as far as planning or zoning that needs to be involved, those will also be invoked. As far as 108 Millville Road, there's a house on there. Before anything can be done, if you wanted to demo it, that would need to go to historical first and throughout that process. So just, I think that it, and again, you know, Kathleen, I completely understand your concern, but our focus right now is 106 Millville, where the issues are. Obviously, sorry if I get the name incorrect, Mr. Neto, you're hot on the radar here in Mendon, okay? Because there's a lot of things that have happened in a very short amount of time. I don't have much authority on any say here. I'm just a member of the Board of Selectmen, so I help to oversee this stuff. But the various boards will obviously guide you throughout any process that you need to go. But I just want to say that it's been a very, very frustrating process, not only for the abutters that live near there, but also for us officials in town that have had to try to navigate this. I want to thank you for being kind, you know, working with us and being here. But at the same time, we've really got to get this situation rectified as quickly as possible. You know, the other, one other thing I wanted to also just say is, as a landlord as well, we rent space. There's one, you know, at our office, we rent space to other people. So we see those people all the time, but our other places that we do rent, once you rent it, it's essentially the tenants at that point. You know, we are still responsible for the nonsense that may happen there, but we don't go and do sort of inspections or things like that. So that's pretty standard that Mr. Neto wouldn't have, you know, been privy or on site. I'm not saying that he wasn't, just saying that it's normal as a landlord. Other than that, I don't have much else to say at the moment.
The easy answer, Kathleen, is yeah, he does own that property, and Mr. Tinio is correct. When you rent, that's it. As long as the person sending the check, you assume everything's good, and especially when you live so far away, there is no doubt some things were done wrong here by the tenant. There is no doubt, and there will probably be significant legal action against the tenant for a variety of issues, but what you don't see is us sitting here saying it's not our problem. My client has said, I own it. I own the property. I'm going to fix it. Mr. Alves has been told, do whatever you have to do to fix it. Like Mr. Tino said, we own it. And we're not running away from it. We want to fix it. And we want to be very good neighbors with everyone. And I think that there's been some problems in the past with the client, with the tenant, and frankly, maybe we should have stepped up sooner, and maybe we should have reached out to everyone sooner. Hindsight's 20/20, but we're here. Before the night's over, I'll give every one of you my cell phone number. You can call me directly if there's a problem, and we will address it instantly. But we once we go to conservation tomorrow night, we want to get a plan in place to fix anything and everything that needs to be fixed, and we certainly believe that pipe coming from is it from the Uric property?
From
Yes.
the 14 Level Street.
Okay, from 14 Level Street. We absolutely want to get it fixed. We just got to figure out where it's broke.
Andy Sullivan has his hand up.
Yes, so my question was going to be, so you said you're going to make a plan on how you're going to resolve this problem. The plan will be reviewed, and I would like to have access to that plan before it's implemented, just to make sure that everything, and I will have it checked by a professional engineer to make sure that nothing that is being done would be contrary to what we're trying to do, which is solve the problems that exist there.
They already did.
Sure.
An architect and a designer.
We've already hired an architect and a designer, and we've also hired Shea Engineering. So we're already ahead of the game. We've got a botanist that we're trying to wrestle to come in there and delineate the wetlands. It's a little crazy these days, but we're on board. And conservation, it's going to be for conservation to review it, tell us yay or nay. And frankly, anyone else that wants to review it. And if you think there's a better way of doing things, tell us.
That's exactly what I'm looking for, is for the plan to be made available so I can have it vetted by a professional civil engineer to make sure that all of this is done properly. And there's nothing that has to be done after we do it once, and then we have proper results after that. And I understand that that's what Mr. Jader is trying to do, and Mr. Neto as well. And I agree with that, but I just want to make sure that we have a chance to get it checked out before the plan gets.
It'll be done by a civil engineer, but you feel free to take it to any other one you want.
I'm never, what I do for a living is engineering, and there's never a problem with getting more than one pair of eyes looking at something to make sure that you've covered everything.
Lawyers do the
never
same
lose by
thing.
doing that.
I always say to my partner, here's what I did. Would you just read it? Make sure you agree. There's nothing wrong with it. It's
Okay.
a good way to do things.
Andy?
Okay, please. That's enough of that. Go ahead, Missy, real quick.
Tom Fickner has his hand up,
I know,
and Lenny Tenio
that's
has
who it was
his
about
up.
to call. Go ahead, Tom. Tom, take it off mute.
How's that? Is that a little bit better?
Hurry up.
Well, I don't want to hurry up. This is a very important discussion, so if I don't have the time to speak, I will defer.
Go ahead, Tom. That was a bad choice of words. I'm sorry.
Just while the discussion was fresh, I know, Ernie, you mentioned about the willingness of your client to do whatever it would take to quote unquote fix the issues. Just a question, would that also potentially include removing any of that fill that's been put in that property?
Well, if I guess I would say if a structural engineer said that couldn't be structurally put intact, he'll do what has to be done to rectify the problem. But I'm certainly not aware of any reason that someone would be able to structurally design that area to work. But hey, I'm not an engineer. So bottom line is he'll do whatever is necessary to make sure that the property complies with conservation laws, regulations, and is safe for anyone that's going to be on the property.
Okay. It was alluded to earlier with regard to bags that had been allegedly buried into the mound that's in the back there. And there's although not an exact location identified, there's a general location that was, a picture was taken of that appears to earmark where the location of those bags were buried. And from what we know, they were hand buried as opposed to machine buried.
Okay.
So what I wanted to ask is, would there be any issues with the owner having, say, if it's led by BOH or whomever, come on site to try to find those bags to determine what the contents of those bags are?
I don't think we have any problem with that. If because this tenant was so dishonest, I honestly have no idea what they might have put there. But if someone wants to come look for it, we're all for it, because if there's something there that's bad, we just as soon find it.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to raise, and I don't know if everyone's aware, there was a letter that I became aware of through our email. I think the other board members may or may not have seen it. I think it was something that came through from the Mass Department of Public Health, and maybe Missy, you could assist here with something that was written, I think, October 7th. We received it October 13th. That had to do with a reference to what was done there, possibly intruding upon or possibly in violation of conservation laws that exist. Missy, do you know the letter I'm referring to?
Hi, Tom. Yep, if you give me a moment, I will go through my emails and I will pull it up for you.
Okay. The reason I mention that is it seemed to be that they were highlighting particular buffer zones that exist when it comes to encroaching upon conservation and possibly, becoming working within those buffer zones. So I just wanted to.
If you can get us a
point that
copy
out.
of that letter, Missy, that'd be great. Because that's
Yep.
under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. And if I'm going to be there tomorrow night, I'd certainly like to see it so we can address it.
Absolutely.
Tom, are you talking about the one that I forwarded you guys off that came from Mike Cahill?
That's the one.
Yep, that came from the Department of Public Health, and Ernie, I will forward that off to you right now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I had at the moment. I appreciate your time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Go ahead, Missy.
Lonnie has his hand up.
Go ahead, Lonnie. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, Missy, could you also send that to the Concom if you already haven't, only so that they're aware of it? And only just because could you send it to the Concom members at mendonma.gov, just because they're short an admin at the moment, and at least everybody will see it in their email.
Thank you, Lonnie. I have a question for Kathleen, if I may. I know that at some point, either you or your neighbors were concerned about the location, the distance from this filling process, especially with the unknown substance in these trash bags in the location to your wells. How close is this operation to either of your wells?
The entire operation, I haven't measured it, is fairly close. Not the construction bags that were buried, but the whole project itself. I did have my well tested, and it was negative for bacteria.
Could you please forward a copy of that well test results to Missy at the Board of Health, please, somehow, with either email, mail, stop in, or whatever you could, please?
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you. How about your neighbors? Have they had the well tested, Dana?
We did not have our well tested. Our well is in the front side of the property, whereas Kathleen's is probably 8 feet from the disruption.
That close. Okay. All right. So the property, they're filled right up to the property line then, correct?
Yes.
This construction goes directly and immediately to the fence property line, yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, Alan Greenberg, do you have anything else to add, please?
Just one quick thing. It's my understanding that Mr. Netto made the arrangements for this fill to be brought in. And if I'm correct, where is this fill coming from, and is this clean fill? When I was there, I witnessed some broken green sewer pipe. Not a large amount of broken green sewer pipe, but I did see that visible when I was invited by the property owners to meet with them, along with Tom Ryder, our Board of Health engineer. So if you could just clarify that for me quickly, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Netto's not the one that approved that. I believe it was the tenant. And as far as before I get to that, just Kathleen, the bags, are they like, what color are they? So what are we looking for? Like, I'm thinking of black garbage bags.
Yes, they look like black contractor bags.
Okay.
And
So
they were hand carried down, and they were buried with a hand hoe.
Yeah. Sounds rather suspicious to us.
So it's not gonna be hard to find.
Right, should be hard to
No.
find. They want to know where the fill is coming from.
Some of the fill came from Uxbridge, which is a virgin excavation for apartments, and the last fill trucks came from Hollingston, which is on a virgin earth too. So it's
I'm not sure if you heard that. So 2 different locations, Uxbridge and Holliston, and generally sounds like it was virgin soil they're digging out for apartment buildings.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, I did witness some broken green saw pipe,
Yeah.
so that made me suspicious. And any idea what the volume of material that's been brought in there? And that's it for me. Thank you.
I can try to calculate, but on top of my head, I'm not.
We're not sure we really know. A large amount.
Ernie, I happened to notice myself one time when I was there, I was looking, I saw broken ledge, like there was blasted ledge or hammered. Was there a machine working with a hammer, a rock breaking hammer over there for a while? Maybe the neighbors could tell us that. Kathleen, do you know?
Not us.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Did you see any machines over the jackhammer?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I could hear it from my house for a couple of weekends. I didn't. It came from that general direction. I didn't know if that's where they were working. But I thought I saw.
What you're probably hearing is actually across Millville Road, where the other White House, there's construction all the way around it, and that's probably what you're hearing. Yes, we can still hear it, jackhammering and moving rock and trying to break ledge so that they can do whatever construction they're planning to do there.
Thank you.
Andy,
yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Dana has her hand up.
Dana?
Thank you. I wanted to address the question of how much fill. My estimation is between 200 and 400 semi-trailer loads, just based on the frequency of those arrivals over the many weeks when that occurred. So you could do some math on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We don't know. We agree it's a large amount of fill. We just don't know how much.
So if it is
And
200,
to the question of the cleanliness of the fill, Kathleen mentioned that one property that Mr. Netto also has in Hopedale with the filling happening there. We spoke to the neighbor and he indicated that he has photos of scrap metal and concrete blocks in the fill that's been put in that property in Hopedale. So I do think it's a valid question about the certification of the cleanliness of the fill. And I think that's a very important topic that I would like to ensure we don't drop.
Yes, I do have the same picture.
So we have those pictures as well. Go ahead.
That is someone that dumped that without our permission.
Yeah.
We already know who did it, and they're gonna come out to remove.
So there is one with cinder blocks and metal in it,
Yes.
and it was improperly dumped there, and they are apparently coming to clean it up. Yep. So you can let your neighbor, let the neighbor there know to watch, because that's apparently is going to be cleaned up.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the picture right now. So that was improperly brought in there. He took pictures of it and has ordered them to come back and clean it up.
Yep.
And is there a tenant at that property that's doing the filling like the tenant at 106 did? Or is this Mr. Netto doing the filling at this property?
This is Mr. Netto doing the filling at this property. He's looking to develop that into a business.
We're getting a little bit off topic, please. This is Mendon, that's Hopedale. Thank you. Just to clarify a little bit, if it was between 200 and 400 dump trailer loads, using 300 loads as an average at roughly 25 to 28 yards a load, it's around 8,000 yards of fill. Generic numbers. That's what was going in there. My next question to Mr. Netto for 106 Millville Road, You brought Mr. Alves in to help you rectify the situation. First and foremost, the pipe. My next question is, what is the next step on this project? Are you done filling? Are you going to loam and seed? Are you going to pave? Please describe what the scope of your work to finish this project and make it be done. What are you looking to do, please?
Yes, I come right now to fix it up, and now I have to wait for you guys to tell us what to do, what you can do now. And after everything done, I gotta paving, do some paving. If if you guys let me do that, because I don't know if you're gonna be able to do that either, That's why I hired you. And that's why I hired JD to do that. And after we decide like what to do, then we're gonna, call the town to go there and see what we can do there. But
what type of business or something. He does plan to beautify and landscape it, make it look nice.
Because right now, I want to fix it up to move to their location because I have a shop in Franklin, Mass.
We started.
And I want to move to their location because the design. It's close to Frank,
Can I show him this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I said, they've hired an architect, and here's some concept drawings of what he's kind of like. What he's. Oops.
I don't know if they're gonna agree to that.
Just to kind of give you an idea. So they are working with an architect to try to make the place look really nice. It's not going to be. It's going to be very nice.
Okay, thank you. So
that's not because we don't have the time to do anything yet, but we try to work.
We're gonna have some on paper for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have some stuff tomorrow night. If you're all coming to the Conservation Commission meeting, we're gonna have some stuff for you to look at there.
Okay, just to again clarify, the cease and desist does not come from the Board of Health. After you go through conservation and you describe what you're going to do, and they give you the blessing, I believe that cease and desist came from the selectman. I know Selectman Tinio has his hand up. I'm going to call on you in a minute, Lonnie. Thank you. When they release the cease and desist, after you prove to them in good faith that this is how you're going to handle the situation, and the neighbors are going to be happy that you're doing what you're doing to correct this issue and make it right, then you can go forward. But that's not the Board of Health that has the cease and desist. Lonnie, your turn, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. Yes, so the cease and desist is from the conservation. In the absence of their agent at the moment, I just helped type the letter and then cut the signatures and delivered it. Right, so Concom will be the first stop here. There's likely going to be a stop at, likely planning, likely zoning, especially if they're planning on doing anything different there, if you're planning on changing the use. Again, it's residential. I'm not sure exactly how it's zoned at the moment. It's a residential zone, but if anything, it would be agricultural. So you're going to have to, there's a lot of hoops that will have to be jumped through to make that a business. When you rent it out, when you leased it and they were using it as a place for horses and a riding arena, what it's always been in Mendon, that's an understandable use. But if we're going to make a business in the residential district, there's going to be that's not an easy thing to do. It's a residential district for that reason. Again, we're a rural farming community, always have been, and so we embrace things like farming in that area. So, and again, if the dirt is too far down and the hill is too far over and there's too much material there and it doesn't work for what's there, we're gonna have, you'll be asked to remove what's needed to be removed to make it correct. But we're not just, we're not going to just build a wall up to the lot line, or at least, that's not what we want to see here in the community. So just keep that in mind. Again, I don't have a lot of jurisdiction on this. I'm just giving you my opinion and kind of how we like to see things, kind of happen around here. So just please, just keep that in mind. And you have neighbors. That's all I'd like to say. because these neighborly disputes come before the Board of Selectmen, and there's about 4 going on right now, and right now this one's the nicest one that we're dealing with. So because everybody's amenable and everybody's working together, and we're going to get to that point. Like I think I said this in the last meeting, I'm probably repeating myself. There's a couple in town right now that are just a nightmare.
Thank you, Lonnie. As usual, you are always welcome because you are a big help to us with your understanding of the government and the way things are handled in the town, and I appreciate your help. All right, so I'm going to start with Dana, if you will, please. We're going to make one last round unless somebody else has another topic to talk about on this subject of 106 Millville. Dana, do you have anything to add to this conversation before we close it out?
Perhaps relative to the trash item, if that might be something that the team does at 9 a.m. on Friday, that might be helpful if you would like to do so.
We agree.
Okay,
Yep,
very
we're on
good.
board.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have nothing further for the Board of Health meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your help. And back to Kathleen, please. Do you have something at this time, please?
No, thank you very much for your time.
I thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing that this has been resolved and the neighbors are all good. I wish you well. Ernie, excuse me, Ernie, do you or your clients have anything to add?
We're going to work with you 9 a.m. Friday. We're going to work with you. We're going to try to make you happy because we want to be good neighbors. And if anyone wants to write this down, my cell phone is 508-326-5060. That's 508-326-5060. If you have any questions or something comes up that you think is wrong, you can call me, you can text me, and I have an extremely busy practice, so if I don't answer, please leave a message. I promise I will call you back. And we want to have complete transparency. Anything you want to see, anything you think we should be looking at, just tell us and we're on board.
Thank you. Could you repeat that number? I was trying to put it on Facebook and I couldn't catch all the numbers.
Horn and O'Loughlin, attorneys at law, Mendon, Massachusetts.
All right, Alan Greenberg, please, do you have anything to add at this time?
The only thing I have at this time is I believe it was mentioned in previous meetings that property is being taxed as commercial property. It might be something to look into with the assessor just to verify. It might help you move forward and, comply with whatever guidelines are necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Tom Fickner, could you join us, please?
Yes, no other topics to discuss. I appreciate everybody being involved, and Ernie, I appreciate your position with your client and what your client seems willing to do and the direction to go in to help resolve everything for all involved. So
100% on board. Thank
wonderful.
you.
Sure thing. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Selectman Tinio, do you have anything to add at this time?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Missy, would you like to say something about this?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So once again, I think we've had a very productive meeting and look forward to a bright future, and we're going to make this correct. And I appreciate everybody's time on this issue, and have a good evening. Be safe. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you.
9 a.m. Friday, we'll be there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be here waiting for you at 9.
And
Thank you, sir.
just one more, just to clarify, that's Ernie, you're going to meet them at 16 level?
Where would you guys like to meet?
It's probably easier if we're going to do looking at everything that's happening and all that stuff. It's probably easier to access from our property. So let's meet at 16 Level Street.
16 Level Street, and then we're going to also go look and see if Kathy or Mr. Urich, whoever thinks they've got a decent idea where those bags might be, going to
Yes,
go look for those as well.
I'll be there. That's
Thank you very
Kathleen.
much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank
See you guys
everyone.
Friday
All right.
morning.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty, Missy?
So the next thing I have on the agenda is, I believe I sent forward you guys off the email. Max Carbone, who is our animal inspector, is leaving. He is moving to Florida. He is trying to get the barn book done and he's telling me that, and in the email, that his last day is tentatively November 20th. So therefore, we need to advertise for a new animal inspector. I briefly talked about something with Tom this afternoon as far as right now. It's a $5,000 a year stipend. They get, Max gets paid $2,500 in December, and he gets paid $2,500 in June. With that being said, right now, if we keep it on that schedule, because he doesn't get paid per inspection or quarantine, I will do a payroll for him for the week of November 20th for $2,083 and change. If there's a point in time that you would rather do pay by inspection and quarantine, this would be the time for you to change that option. See what an animal inspector would charge you guys to do it that way. So with that, Andy, I'll turn it to you.
Quick question off the top of your head. I know you don't have these numbers in front of you, but how many quarantines and inspections, educated guess, has Max done in the last 6 months, or in either one of the 6-month periods?
So, yep, Tom asked me about that, and I think I said 8 earlier, Tom, but I think it actually might be more for calendar year 21, but I can get that number for you. That would be the quarantine, so when I get a notification from the hospital or a vet or whatever that there's been an animal bite, and a dog typically it's a dog, needs to be quarantined for the 10 days, I'll get that notification so I can give you actually better numbers next week. As far as the barn book, I have no idea how many inspections he does for that. In the almost 22 years, I've never seen the barn book from any of our barn inspectors, animal inspectors. Okay. Andy?
Okay. Just out of curiosity, when a quarantine is done, does Max take physical possession of the dog and keep it somewhere himself? Or does he just notify the homeowners that this animal needs to be quarantined?
My understanding, I've never known Max or any other inspector to take an animal away. It's always been quarantined at the homeowner or the dog animal owner.
So he basically just goes and has a conversation with them and lets them know that, say per se, the police have been notified because their kid got killed by the neighbor's, got bit by the neighbor's dog, and therefore we have record of it. So blah blah blah, and it's all just paperwork. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so in my first response, and I may be subject to change, I don't know, but my first response is, if the money is there to, because we have to be able to entice someone to take this job, because it's not $1 million. I think we should leave things the way they are. That's my opinion at this time. I'm always open for discussion and learning as to why maybe I should change my ways. I don't know. Alan Greenberg, do you have any idea roughly, maybe you've had conversations with Max at your barn or wherever, in conversation, have you ever broached the subject of roughly how many barns does the animal inspector inspect in a 6-month period?
No, not as far as a number goes. However, I do know that on occasion, when he's traveling from one barn to another, he does discover someone who has animals on their property that's not on the list. So the list that he gets, the barn book that he gets from the state, is never really complete.
Yeah.
That's just something that, you kind of learn by experience. I believe a couple of years ago, that horse that got triple E on the Mendon Northbridge line on Northbridge Road, I believe that farm, if you want to call it, if I remember correctly, was not listed, so it was not inspected. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, that sounds familiar to me also. So what are you, just preliminarily, what's your thoughts on the pay schedule?
I'm glad that we have, that in play. I know that we were able to raise it. I thought at one point when I first started, we were down in the $2,000 or $3,000 range, and we were able to increase it. I think, Max did a great job for us and seemed to know a lot about what he was doing or where to find the answers. I understand that, he's moving on. But we should be able to find somebody, I think, for that amount of money, that will do an equally good job, hopefully. And I don't know if, piecework is going to, really help us out. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
So basically you're thinking what I said also, that we should probably leave it alone the way it is, correct?
At this time,
yeah,
I'd be very interested to see what Missy finds. And also, I don't know if that shared collaborative that we've got going on, I don't know if animal inspector comes under that umbrella at this time or maybe in the future. Back to you.
Missy, do you have any information on that question?
It wasn't a topic of discussion when we were first looking at candidates and stuff, but since you brought up the collaborative, the one thing I would raise is we could always ask them about it, see if any of them are interested. The other thing too, going to the collaborative, is I met Danielle and Daniel today with Jean Ganatic from Northbridge, and the subject of tobacco sting came up and stuff, and they are willing to help out also. So I'm assuming if they are led to the direction as to what is required to be an animal inspector, we might be able to get them to at least help us out in the interim until we get a regular one in. Andy?
Thank you. Tom Fickner, please.
Well, it's an interesting discussion with regard to the financial structure. I agree with you, Andy. We would want to have something that, would be enticing for somebody to take the position. At the same time, I also would try to want to be, quote unquote, fiscally responsible. I don't know what the going rate might be for something like that, per incident. If somebody were to take the position and we changed it to a, type of structure where we would have them bill per incident that they handle, kind of like the same way that Tom Ryder and, Lenny and Danielle operate on, right? It's a tough one. I guess if we're faced with not having success with finding a candidate, I guess the way to do that would probably be maybe we end up having to offer a little bit more, given that the 5,000 a year is probably a pretty good number. I would think that nobody's losing any money. I would think that Max didn't lose anything with the work he did. And you also look at probably the down year that we had with coronavirus. There may not have been a lot of activity that took place, so it was probably a pretty good year for Max in terms of return. But it's kind of a catch-22. I could see the merit for both, I guess, offering a good base. It's not going to kill us, and it's not a big deal from a budgetary perspective. Maybe wanting to leave it the same versus, restructuring. That could end up to be a little more difficult, I suppose. I guess you have to you have to dangle the carrot, I guess, make the carrot worth reaching. I'm torn. Mr. Chairman?
Well, My first thought is, what if, God forbid, there was a year where there was only 2 or 3 or none dog bites, and that there was no incentive? So somebody might be like, okay, well, and then that would be a rarity, and it could happen. Doubtful, but it could happen. I don't know how many we've had. Missy said she guessed 8. That's understandable. 1 a month or something like that. I don't know. When we advertised for Max's job, Missy, because it was quite a while ago, because the last one we had before Max was Larry Pearson, wasn't it? And Max is a very well educated and a wealth of knowledge in all these fields with the animals, and very caring about his job. He was very professional, and he brought a lot to the table for us. Did we advertise somewhere to get Max? Did we have somewhere? Did we place an ad? Do we have something on file somewhere with an advertisement for this job that we can look at, maybe tweak, maybe change? Is there still something somewhere? Or how did we come across getting Max, Missy?
I don't remember how we got Max, but we did advertise, because I do have a advertisement. I actually stole it from the town of Northbridge. Jean gave me hers, and I just used it because it's the same regardless really where you go. Max would be 1, 2, 3. Max is the 4th animal inspector that I've worked with. I started off with Larry Pearson. Then we had Leon Mail, who was from Hopedale. Then we had Kevin Sullivan, and now we have Max. So it's, you definitely want someone who has a good understanding about animals, because you also don't want someone coming in all authoritative and laying down the law and this, that, and the other. You want someone that understands the care of animals, whether it's a chicken up to a cow or a horse. But yeah, we do have avenues where we can advertise. You can put it in the crier. I can ask HR what they put their advertisements in. Again, it's going to be something that's rather limited, because you're just looking for an animal inspector. Andy?
Just so you guys are aware, I spoke with Peter Hawks about it and asked him if he would be interested in it, because he has a great passion for the farming and knows just about every farmer in this town. And he said that he would think about it, but he didn't think that he would be interested, but he would think about it. And I said, what about your daughter? When when Kevin Sullivan was leaving, and before we got Max, or actually Max left for a while, I think that's what it was, wasn't it, Missy? And then he came back?
Correct. Max had left for a short period of time.
Yeah, so we had Erin Hawks came in and met with us, and she's very knowledgeable herself due to her upbringing. She's a recent mom. She does work on the farm. This might be a good fit for her. She's expressed a little bit of interest in it. I have not reached out back to them yet, but I think that would be a real good fit if she is interested. She's from Mendon, and again, they have a great respect and embrace for the farming community in this town, and know just about everybody. I'm hoping that she says yes, she wants to do it, and that would make it a good thing. She's a true farmer. All right, so from that, do you have that ad handy, Missy?
I was actually logging in to pull it up so I could send it to you guys, actually.
I was just wondering if you could, I could, if it's an attachment, I won't be able to read it. I'm just wondering what the criteria is in the ad. What does it show? All right, so when November 20th, that's a month away. That's right around the corner.
All right, so just so you know what I'll do, so you can't, if I copy and paste something into the email, can you read it that way, Andy?
Yes.
I'll do it that way then. That way you don't have to worry about whether you got the attachment or not.
Bertie said he couldn't open your attachment either.
What?
That's why he had a hard time. He couldn't open an attachment that you sent to him.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with that.
All right, not overly important at this time.
Yeah, I'll make sure I get that to you guys. No worries.
Okay. All right. So we know that's what we have to face. We'll be looking up. Tom, do you have anything to add on this subject at this time?
No, I'm good. Yeah, that's Erin's a great thought. Hopefully, maybe she would, be interested. That would be wonderful.
Alan?
Nope, I'm good. I was thinking the same thing because I remember interviewing her during Max's brief absence.
Cool. I hope that she says, yes, I'll do it. All right. Next we have, I can't read from, there wasn't a full picture that you sent me, Missy. Continue the point.
Yep, so the other two are standing things that we agreed upon that would stay on the agenda so we would not forget. And that's anything to do with the revamping of the private well regulations and creating dumpster regulations. In my talks with the agents today that came in, Daniel would, he would also be willing to help you guys draft regulations. I told, we're talking with Gene and everything, try to get everybody on the same page, very similar regulations. So that would be something that we could have Daniel take a stab at also. Andy?
All righty, thank you. As far as the well regulations, Tom, do you have anything to add to that right now?
I do not, Andy.
Okay, Alan?
I'm good. The only thing I would have is we did set some, I'll call them soft deadlines to have these things done by. Missy, how are we doing with those deadlines?
I would say really with the private well regulations, we've really been having Tom Ryder work on them. I would say as long as we have things completed and ready to go by January 1st, I think that's a reasonable deadline to have. And so with these two agents, especially Daniel, who is willing to help create regulations, we should be able to get that done sooner than later, I'm hoping.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything to add as far as the dumpster regulations, thoughts, or ideas?
AJ,
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Alan. No, you're up. You're the VP. You're the V chairman.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I am, kind of working and blocking off some information that Missy sent me, regulations from different towns, so that when we do have a discussion, I have some information to add. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Currently at this time, I don't have anything to add as far as the dumpster regulations. Again, Missy, on the dumpster regulations, when were we looking to? I don't think we really had a timeline on that one, did we?
No, but I wouldn't mind setting the same deadline as January 1st.
Okay.
Even if it's a rough draft, getting ready. Like I said, talking with Gene and everything today, they're also on board. They have maybe everyone has similar regulations. So I know we'll have some work meetings with these two people. So I know it's something Gene and I are interested in having more of our regulations in the Blackstone Valley be more in line. So it might be something we don't have to recreate completely.
Okay.
Sounds like you and Gene just volunteered to draft them, Missy. Thank you very much.
Ha ha! I don't get paid the big bucks like she does.
When is that meeting you told me about, Missy?
That was supposed to take place on Tuesday. It's now been moved to November 10th, an executive session with the select board members and members of the union.
Very good. Very good. Keep me informed, please.
I definitely will.
Okay. Have you filled Tom and Alan in about that?
I'm not sure. Did I talk to you
Okay.
guys about that?
Probably something that should be talked about person to person. though.
That's fine.
agree.
I
Since
can
it's-
pop in at some point next week.
Yeah, if you guys want to stop in, I'll be back in the office next Wednesday, because it is going to go under the guise of contract negotiations and going into executive session. But I can have my own conversations with you guys individually, off the record.
Hey,
Sounds
you
good,
guys,
thank you.
Did she tell you where she's going for the weekend?
Yeah, I thought it was
did,
just the
but I
weekend.
didn't-
What's this Wednesday part?
I'm taking Tuesday to recover. Are you kidding me? We're already mapping out the liquor stores and the bars.
Nice.
Well, you enjoy your time. You deserve it.
Thank you,
Hey,
and
do
we
we-
definitely.
Hi, guys. How do you like my yard?
Awesome.
I love it.
Looks good. I can't wait to see green grass.
Yeah, neither can I. Then I get my zero-turn John Deere.
There you go.
Oh,
At least it
nice.
stopped raining so the loom won't run down the hill.
Right.
Well, that's why I covered it with straw.
Did we set another meeting date?
So
Before we go.
I'm actually looking at the calendar. If you go in your every other week schedule that we normally keep, the next meeting would be Wednesday, November 3rd.
I can tell you that I am away that week, so I wouldn't be available for that one.
Okay.
Most likely.
Okay, we can reschedule.
So that being
I'm
said,
willing to go to 6 o'clock if necessary.
okay, so looking at the schedule for November, if Tom is out that week, you could move it to like a Monday or a Tuesday, because the next Wednesday would be November 10th when I have to go to that selectmen's meeting. Otherwise, it's going to November 17th.
It does not matter to me as far as the date, but in response to Alan's statement, I think that probably for one more meeting, at least we should hang on to the 7 o'clock, because as you know, after work, I have very few minutes to do whatever I can do before the lights go out. I was out with the leaf blower until about 5 minutes before the meeting started. So I think we should still grasp the 7 o'clock start time for one more meeting at least. What do you think, Alan?
I'm good with that. And if you run out of daylight, I do have a light tower. You're more than welcome to borrow.
You haven't seen this place lit up at night, have you? I have 12 500-watt floodlights on all the sides of the house here.
I think you got it. I think you got it covered then.
Oh yeah. All right. So what was the outcome for the? Thank you, Alan. What was the outcome, Missy, for the date for the next meeting? Was it the 17th?
If you decide to keep it on a Wednesday, if you want to move it to a Monday or a Tuesday, that would be November 8th or November 9th.
It does not matter to me. If anybody else has a choice, just speak now or forever hold your peace.
No preference. I don't see why we couldn't go until the 17th. I think we have most of our issues under control.
Okay.
I see a counselor for that.
I mean, if anything did come up or you did really need to meet, we could always squeak it in. No big deal.
Okay.
What time?
7.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna
AJ,
say,
before you go, AJ, before you go, I do have a quick question.
Speak.
It's unrelated to Board of Health.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to drop off?
No. You don't have to, but if we want to adjourn first, we can.
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, listen, something happened this morning this afternoon that was kind of interesting. I got my registrations renewals, but I got them for my trucks, not for my trailers. Have you experienced the same?
I just got a stack of them. There's usually about 30 of them, and I just picked them up today. As I haven't opened them yet. But are your trailers 2 years?
No, my trailers are 1 year, and they're in November. So I was very surprised when I opened the 3 that I got today to find all 3 of them were for my truck. So I didn't know if the registry hit the wrong button.
See, my trailers are usually 5 years. You know, sometimes they go 2 years on some of them. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. All right. No, just curious. I called my insurance agent just to find out if maybe the registry goofed, and I figured I'd reach out to anybody else I knew that renewed things on an annual basis.
I'm opening them all right now. I found the blue pickup. They have the Peterbilt. Oh no, the Eager Beaver low bed trailer. That must be 1 year. This is
Okay.
the low bed trailer that just came in.
All right, but you got your pickup truck, so that maybe maybe my trailers will come tomorrow.
Could be.
I just got a little concerned that something was wrong. I expected there to be 5 trailer regs.
They'll find you. I still haven't put the sticker on the little utility trailer we dropped off last night. You suppose I should?
Oh, hey, well, might as well not do it now.
Yeah, they found
All right,
me on the
thank you for
Peterbilt,
that
too.
extra. Thank you for that extra information.
Extracurricular. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend, Missy. And
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Alan.
Second.
yeah.
See you all next week.
Good night, all.
That was a second.
Safe
Thank
travels.
you. Have fun, Missy. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.